have put my entire heart and soul into my memoir. I'm making sure that all of the revisions are absolutely correct to my utmost belief. Like I explained the other day, I'm like, I can only go off of my memories because that's all that I have to work with. So with that being said, like, if anybody wants to invalidate me, that is their choice. That is their opinion.
What's up, everyone? Carolina Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It's Sunday, April 12th, 2026. The weekend's not exactly over yet, but for the most part it is. It's actually 9:22 p.m. my time as I'm making this. So I did hear the news about Gypsy's main TikTok account being banned. I hope for the sake of our youth it was permanently banned, because that's who she likes to target, or that seems to be who she likes to target. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. I think it's going to be a little long, but we're going to be diving into some of Gypsy's prison emails. I have a lot of reading to do, and so the video will be mostly the emails with a little commentary. I don't really have a lot of commentary because it has to do with her book deal and, negotiating her show and just different things like that. But I will have some commentary. So I hope you guys buckle up and stay with me, because it should be an interesting ride. I think there are some nuggets in this, so please hang with me. So I'm coming to you tonight because of this rumor that, Gypsy's book is coming back out as being released as a paperback, and it's going to be released on April 28, 2026. And I've had many people tell me that they called the publisher to see if there were changes made. And supposedly the publisher said no, but Gypsy herself has said there is new content. And so here you can see this was posted. I can't remember if it was posted on her Instagram or TikTok. It looks like it was posted on her TikTok page. And you can see that what I've got circled there, it says, "My book has been updated with new content and paperback edition." And so not only did she say that here, but I've got a few clips of her on Breeze Live also saying, talking about her book and why she had to make the edits and all this jazz. So we're going to be getting into that as well. But this is why I'm coming to you tonight. And let's see. Yeah. So I'm going to take you back to December 10th, 2024. This was when Gypsy's book, My Time to Stand, was released, and she was so proud of her book. And you can see it was December 10th when it says Audible release date. That was actually the date that her book was released as well. And you see where it says My Time to Stand, a memoir, and it says Gypsy Rose Blanchard, author, narrator, and then Melissa Moore, author, and then Michelle Matashani, author. And so Gypsy, to my knowledge, has worked with these people for not only her book deal, but she worked with them for the shows as well that she did. And she actually had another book that came out as well, and I'm going to get to that. But she had another book that came out about the time that she was released. Now, this came out almost a year after she was released from prison, her My Time to Stand book. But she had one called Released, and that was actually released in January, I believe, 2024. And they had the same people. She had the same people working on it. It was the same publisher and the same authors. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But anyway, this book was released, and she was just so proud of the book. And she even actually, dedicated or had like a little section in the book regarding her daughter, her unborn child at the time. Her child was not born yet when this book was released. And so this is what was in the book. It says, "To my unborn baby, when you are one day ready to read your mama's story and learn of your ancestry, I want you to know that every choice that I have made in my life, whether it be wrong or right, has been with the hope of having you." And I'm going to admit, ever since, going back to Volunteer Way, 2103 Volunteer Way, she talked about having babies in the videos. She's got a tote full of baby clothes, stolen baby clothes. And, I found that interesting. But yeah, she's wanted a baby for a long time. So anyway, she had a book signing scheduled for December 13th, 2024 in New Orleans. And so Sir Morbid X was a content creator that I follow on YouTube. And back during this time, the Gypverse was like going strong. We were in our prime. And we always met. Sir Morbid X would go live every other night, and we always met over there on his channel. And everybody was there. Everybody under the sun in this community seemed like they were there. And anybody and everybody would go up on Morbid's panel. And he had Ken up on his panel. That was Gypsy's baby dad. That's Gypsy's baby daddy. Ken's mama, Raina, and just all kind of people. And so it used to be really fun. And so it was kind of nice to go back and reminisce some of these clips and stuff. But what we did is we were trying to plan a vigil or do something for Dee Dee when this book signing was going on. And so a few of the nobodies, did get together, and they got down there, and they, stood there with their Justice for Dee Dee signs and stuff. And so if you would like to watch that live, I'll provide the link in my description box. But I do miss those days. We had a lot of fun back then. I believe the community was at its prime. There are a lot of good people still in the community, but it's not the same vibe anymore. I do miss the old days. But this is our very own Anne Fran on my screen right now, and she's been strong in this community ever since I can go back and remember. I've been in this community going on, well, I guess it'd be about like 2.5 years at this point. And so Anne's been here just as long as I can remember. And so she is a strong supporter of the anti-Gypsy community. And she's, much love and respect to Anne. And so, Gypsy was happy the way her book signing went. Her camp laughed, though, at the fact that we didn't have many people here for the vigil for Dee Dee, But if I remember correctly, Gypsy's camp caught wind that we were planning something for Dee Dee, and they held the location of the signing a secret until a few days before. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's been a little while. I can't exactly remember right off the top of my head, but it does seem like they held the location until like a week before or something like that, because they caught wind that we were going to do something. And so they were trying to keep everything hush hush, and we were laughing about that because we were like, well, if you keep it hush hush too long, you're not going to have that good of a turnout, for the book signing. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Let me know if I'm mistaken. But I thought that's how it went down. But that's okay though, because our very own Anne Fran was interviewed by Lifetime. And do you know how many people saw her Justice for Dee Dee sign? Everyone that watched the show. So here's a clip of Life After Lockup of Anne's interview with Gypsy.
There you go. Destiny Blood.
This case has really captivated a lot of people. It's interesting, and it's also kind of sad because Gypsy is still a person, but the hate's real and people are really passionate about this case.
one of my friends, they've been watching the lives to watch for people doing this. They already had 2 people that got removed from the building. We heard them on live. They plan on coming here and throwing pictures of Dee Dee at Gypsy, just like really nasty stuff.
I want to pause this real quick. That's a lie. Nobody was going to throw pictures of Dee Dee or anything like this. This was supposed to be a respectful event on our behalf for Dee Dee, but we wanted Gypsy. We were trying to be a voice for Dee Dee, basically. Of course, we wanted Gypsy to see, we wanted her to be aware and say, hey, justice for Dee Dee, or whatever were on their signs. But everybody was respectful down there. Nobody was out of the way, but it was basically like a peaceful protest or a vigil, whatever you want to call it. But it was justice for Dee Dee. And again, we were trying to be a voice for Dee Dee.
I'm here today because Gypsy Rose's mother-in-law, she's smug about it. She's making money off of it. Everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie, and I think it needs to stop.
This girl was gonna go in with her little earbud and tell Gypsy some nasty stuff, came all the way here just to do that. And not anymore, because I shut that down. She said she bought 2 tickets, so they're gonna give her her full refund and then she can leave. They're not gonna ruin this for Gypsy. They're mad at me, but I don't care. I'm always gonna protect Gypsy. And she can keep suing me, I don't care. Because this is the closest she's gonna get to Gypsy, so.
Poor Anne, she couldn't keep, the candles kept blowing out or whatever, and so she was trying to keep those candles lit. And it was funny. I remember it seems like we were laughing about it on the live stream because the candles kept blowing out. But overall, we had a lot of fun on the live stream, but it was supposed to be, a respectful event on for Dee Dee. So we weren't going down there to cause trouble, but yeah, we wanted to be noticed by Gypsy. We wanted her to see that, there was somebody there for Dee Dee or on Dee Dee's behalf, basically. And that was our intent, our only intent. And so next, I have these screenshots, and they're from last summer when Gypsy was trying to sell her baby things on Marketplace. I first used this in my first video and wasn't sure where it originated from, but now I know. These came from Audrey. She goes by Audacious Audrey here on YouTube, and on TikTok, she goes by Chicken Nugget Life. And so I'm not sure, or I'm sure most of y'all follow Audrey already, or you probably know who she is. But if not, if you don't follow her, go give her a follow. She does really great Gypsy content. At the time I received these screenshots, though, I didn't know who she was yet because I wasn't here on TikTok. I was in the community, but I was here on YouTube. And so I wasn't over on TikTok. And I really didn't, follow a whole lot of people over on TikTok yet. But let me read these. And so the backstory of this, I don't have the beginning part of the conversation. It was somebody reaching out to Gypsy. Gypsy was selling her baby stuff on Marketplace, I guess, Facebook Marketplace. And I'm not quite sure. I guess she was wanting a baby stroller, or maybe she was the story I got was the woman was trolling Gypsy and was asking about a baby stroller. And when Gypsy responded that it was still available, the woman was like, no, I'm not interested because you keep changing your story, or I don't know, something along those lines. And this is Gypsy's response back to it. It said, my story never shifts. People twist verbiage. For example, I talked about how my mom chained me to her bed. Then I will say tied. Then they say, well, was it with a chain, a dog leash, a rope? To me, chain means all of those words mean the same thing, but they trip off the verbiage. Then another example in my book, I explain how when I was much younger, I explained how my mother didn't want me to play with Barbies. But then they show a picture of me at 14 with a Barbie in my hand. Okay, more details need to be told. My mother told me, or excuse me, my mother didn't let me play with Barbies when I was 6 or 7. It wasn't until I was 13 or 14 that she allowed me to play with Barbies. So you see how details matter for some things and don't for others. Just last week, Ken went on TikTok live and misspoke on a detail that he didn't know. He was asked, why did my mom cover the windows with tint? And I actually remember this. He was on, if I'm not mistaken, he went on True Crime with Justin on TikTok, over there on TikTok's panel. And if somebody else went up with him. I know Fancy went up one time. And it seemed like somebody else went up and was asking him questions. I can't remember, but somebody did ask that. And that's exactly what he said, so people wouldn't see her walking inside. And I firmly believe that is why Dee Dee put the tint on the windows, is because they didn't want to, she didn't want people to see Gypsy walking on the inside, on the inside of the house, and seeing her moving about and stuff. Although, I mean, there wasn't really like anybody right there on top of her. She did have that one neighbor to the left-hand side of her where they shared a driveway. And so that was her closest neighbor. And she wouldn't have had, I don't think she would have, on that side, there were really no windows for this neighbor to be able to look into to see Gypsy walking around. So, but that's just my opinion on why the windows were tinted. But anyway, going back to this message, it says, he said, oh, so people wouldn't see Gypsy walking around the house. And I told him, Ken, why did you speak on that? Because that's not the reason my mom blacked out the windows after CPS came to my house and she got paranoid about people seeing in our windows. Now, the whole TikTok is screaming Gypsy lied about that just because Ken said something different. Like people, you're asking about experiences with people like Ken and Christy that, not to be mean, but don't know horse shit about my life and are speaking publicly on things they don't know for facts. And then my book is a whole other level. And I want to say something about this. Here she's talking about Ken and Christy. Now, Christy's Gypsy's stepmom and Ken's the baby daddy. And so she's sitting here, she's pissed off that Ken and Christy are speaking on her life, and people, and they're saying, obviously they're saying incorrect stuff, or they're saying stuff that Gypsy's not happy with. And, she's like, these people don't know shit about my life. And these people, like I said, that's her stepmom and baby daddy. And so my question is, if she says these people don't know anything about her life, how can Bree and Sheena speak on it? I mean, if you listen to Bree and Sheena speak on it, they act like they were sitting right there on the couch when all this went down back on June 10th, 2015. I'm pretty sure they weren't, but to listen to them talk, they act like they were. And at this point in time, when it comes to, Bree and Sheena, I guarantee I know more about this case than they do because they refuse to read the FOIA documents. And so unless you're going to read everything that I read, you're not on the same playing field I'm on. We're not equivalent. And so, where was I at here talking about Christy and Ken? And then my book is a whole other level of things that don't add up. And this is the reason for this message right here for me. And then, my book is a whole other level. Things don't add up because I had co-authors do the formal writing for me. And the book has tons of errors that need to be fixed because I didn't put pen to paper and write it myself. And unfortunately, I didn't proofread it like I should have. So that's another thing that makes me look like I'm lying about some things. And guess what, Gypsy? You are lying. You are a liar. And I'm getting ready to prove that here with this video and all your prison emails showing just how involved you were in your books and show. Ultimately, my story is the same. It's just been grinded up by the media and tossed everywhere. And I'm just so over with trying to explain it to people. And so here she's blaming her co-authors. for her book and why she's got all these errors in her book. So next, what I want to do is I want to play a clip of Gypsy on one of Bree's lives. And this was back, I'm wanting to say in September or October. I know it was towards the end of 2025. And this is Gypsy trying to explain why her book needs to be reprinted.
Do what you do, but watch my shoes.
And while you're here,
Axe it, Sheena.
Axe it.
I'm fixing to axe it. I'm gonna ask you this.
Right.
Can you please explain why you're coming out with a second edition of your book? Not a whole new book.
Oh, God.
Not a whole new book. Stop it, Keith. Not a whole new book. It's a second edition, correct?
Correct. It is a reprint.
Okay, I didn't say anything about this. You told me not to let anybody know that the place announced it.
It's not a completely new, different, separate book. It is a reprint. It's a second edition.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna get it.
Did it come out? Did that second one come out? Yeah, like, is anybody able to see it?
What, the reprint?
Yeah.
No, I can't disclose when it comes out. I can't disclose anything about it because that is the publisher's job, which I know when they're going to start rolling out the promotion for it, but I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay, here's a question. Because Becca Scoop pointed this out. There's something. I don't know which ones. Wait, hold on. I don't know which one's which. I'm gonna mute you. I think it's just background noise. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know which is which. I don't know if it's the audio or the. Wait, hold on, Dreamer. I don't know if it's the audio or the actual book, but I don't know. As Becca Scoops was saying, like, there's a part of the book that you don't read in the audio or vice versa.
And that is a strong possibility because when I was, and they always use this clip of the show, and it's very misleading. There's this clip in the show where it's after I was in the studio and recorded the audio version.
Right.
That I'm opening the book, and that's when I had got like the 200 copies of my book to sign. Mm-hmm. And I said, I have read this book like 50,000 times or something like that. Something along those lines. I don't remember what it was verbatim. And then they show, oh, well, I'm explaining, well, I didn't read my book thoroughly enough when going through the edits. Okay, both are true. But the thing is I did not proofread everything in the book before I went into the studio. So when I went into the studio, I went in blindly. So I had to record.
I'm going to pause it there real quick. Did you hear what she just said? She said she went into the studio blindly. Now, this is about her life story. This is her memoir. Everybody, this is her memoir. My time to stand. And this is about her life story. But she went in there blindly. How in the hell do you go into a studio to read your book about your life story? And how do you go into this studio blindly? Make that make sense to me.
Even the errors that are in the book that needed correcting, I had to say verbatim. And my literary agent and publisher said, we will note this, and when we go for a reprint, we will correct all of this in the reprint. But right now, it is already gone to print, and we cannot make any more edits to it.
I'm going to pause it there. And just so we know, these errors that's in this book that she's talking about here, they're all the lies that she was told, that she was called out on. And so when this book was released, she got so much backlash, it turned Beetlejuice's head back around because, there were so many lies and discrepancies. And so that's what she's talking about here.
So I had to verbatim, even the incorrect information, say while recording it.
And you know what? I want to say this, and I wish if people weren't mass reporting my accounts at the time, because we knew this before the book was, before like you was even really, the books were going out, you knew this already. You didn't, like a lot of people are thinking you're like, people are getting the books and like you're listening to what people are saying
No,
about it.
you were the first person I told.
You was the first person. I was the first person
Yes.
you told, and I went out and I even talked about it publicly, and I even said the things that were wrong. And of course, that video is gone now, and that footage is gone now. But because it's some of the edits is like very simple. Like the football teams are wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Saints.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. I find it comical that they're worried about the football teams, whether the football teams were right or not. Who cares? We don't care about whether the football teams are right or not. I want to know, were you allowed to play with Barbie dolls, Gypsy? I want to know, did your mom throw you birthday parties? And did you have birthday cakes with candles on it? And I want to know the truth. That's what I want to know. I don't care about your damn football teams. But here they're worried about the football teams and whether they were right or not. Not the fact that she lied about being able to play with Barbies or having birthday cakes and being called out on all that.
Was the Bengals and the Chiefs games that we had plans to go to. Well, in the book it says the Bengals and the Saints, and I'm like, that's incorrect. Like,
so some errors are that minor. Like, I mean,
yeah, very minor.
Like, and I talked about this. Like, I remember you were actually still out there reading when we talked about this. And I was like, I knew right then and there, I was like, I really want to talk about this on live, because I know that if you don't talk about this before the book comes out, people are going to do what they're doing now. And of course, you get newcomers every freaking day. So the people that weren't around since I've been around, since last January, January of 2000, well, really December 23, but say January 2024, all these people that came in December, or this year actually, people that are coming in 2 months ago, don't know that all this shit that they think you changed. I talked about that literally before your book even hit the shelves. I literally said what the mistakes were.
I called Bree. I was like, Bree, I just came back from the studio. There's so many corrections that I need to make in this book, and it's already going to print, and there's nothing I can do about it right now. It just has to get printed. It has to be rolled out, and there's nothing I can do to change it until the reprint. And I'm going to be called a liar. I'm going to be called, a liar for inconsistencies, even though I recognize the inconsistencies when reading the book that I had co-authors help me to make.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm writing it myself and then I'm like, oh, well, shoot, this is a lie and da-da-da-da. No, I had co-authors.
Did you just hear what she said? I have to pause it, and I know it's right here at the end of the clip. I should have just let it go, but I really need to call this part out here. In fact, I'm going to back it up just a tiny bit. I'm going to back it up just a little bit, because we need to hear that part one more time.
When reading the book that I had co-authors help me to make.
Right here.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm writing it myself and then I'm like, oh, well, shoot, this is a lie and da-da-da-da.
Okay. She said, it's not like I'm writing it myself, and so this is a lie, da-da-da-da. So are you admitting you're lying in the book? Is that what you're admitting to here? Because if you're writing it yourself, why would you write a lie? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, she just admitted that she's lying in her book. I think she kind of told her on herself indirectly there. I don't know.
No, I had co-authors.
The fact that one of the errors is a football team's name.
Exactly. Like,
to show people. Like,
come on. Yeah.
So that, back in school, I remember I was watching.
Nobody was worried or concerned about football teams, Bree. They were concerned a lot about other things, though. A lot of these other lies, major lies or discrepancies, nobody cared about the football teams. Y'all cared about it. That's what you're trying to make it like. No, we were concerned about the fact that she said she couldn't play with Barbie dolls, but yet I've got 2 pictures of her at 2 different ages. One where she was about 7 and one where she's about 13 holding a Barbie doll, or when she's 13, she's holding a Barbie doll, but when she's 7, she's on the floor playing with Barbies. This next clip, I have it titled Gypsy's Blaming Lifetime about her book.
You said in the series you read each song 50 times and were proud of it. I'm confused. Just because wait, were you going to answer that?
After recording the audio version, which honestly, Lifetime kind of did me a disservice in not showing everything that was talked about. When I went into the recording studio and I realized that there was so many inconsistencies, I told Lifetime. I did a sit-down interview. I was like, I'm so stressed out right now. Like, there's...
I'm pausing it for 1 second. I think it's funny that the whole show was a train wreck. And the only time I ever recall her really being stressed out was when she was with Ryan. But the whole show was a train wreck. And I don't ever recall her ever saying anything about really being stressed out. But the only time I could tell she was stressed out is when she was with Ryan.
So many inconsistencies and errors in this book that I'm upset right now. I'm genuinely upset. They didn't put that scene in there. That's not my fault. I don't get to choose what goes in the TV show and what doesn't. But what they did show was when I got the 200 books to sign, I had already recorded my book in the studio, and I had to read every line over and over because I kept messing up because I'm not a good reader out loud. So yeah, I read every line after recording it. Does common sense compute to you now?
Well,
And why can't she be proud of herself still?
Oh,
She tries to be such a smart ass, really. And I think it's comical because, Gypsy, this is your life story. And you don't even know your own life story. You can't even go in and read your book. You know, without, like you said, you're not a good reader, or you can't read out loud, or whatever your excuses are. I mean, because everything is always somebody else's fault. And we're going to get into that because, you know, you're blaming your co-authors here. And I find it interesting. Like I said, I'm getting ahead of myself. So hold on. Let me not jump ahead of myself. And so here is a clip of Gypsy talking about where she's adding something to her book. According to her, she's elaborating on something further.
You're going to have to read my book because I answer that in my book as an addition to telling my story to get people to understand the mind frame that I was in at that time. So it'll be in my book.
Did you already answer that in your book?
Not really. Not really. Not to the degree that I should have. Because I think that, you know, I sat down and I went through all of the edits that I'm making, and I feel like the addition that I have put in there, whenever that gets brought up in a chapter, I elaborate a little bit more about the
I'm glad you're saying this.
emotional and mental status.
Yeah, I'm glad you're saying this because I think some people are under the impression that you're just adding things, like just these random parts that you never talked about in your book, but it's already stuff in there, you're just elaborating on it.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, it's like, whenever you're writing a book, you have to create a framework, and you have to decide where you start, where you end, all this kind of stuff. And it's a structure. It's very different than just sitting down and having a conversation, and the conversation just naturally flow from one topic to another.
Right.
It's structured in a certain way. And so looking at the chapters, I was like, I want to add this. I want to elaborate a little bit more on this.
And
I can't wait till that book comes out.
to clarify, it's not a second book, as some are saying. It's a revision and a second edition of your book you've already written, correct?
Correct.
Right. So she did regret. When she was reading it, this isn't, and this is something that she had already been decided. When she was reading it, that's when it really, really dawned on her. She's like, "Damn!" Like I remember you called me. You called me from the freaking place that you were reading the book at, and you're like, "Oh, like there's errors in here, and you can't do anything about it until they could do a rewrite eventually, but they could do like a reprint, but whatever with the corrections, but you have to." Leave it like this, and it was something that really weighed on you a lot.
Oh, I bet it really weighed on her. So here's a clip where she states she's working on proofreading the edits of the book and taking more time with it.
Scoop and knew exactly what wasn't going to be in it, and there's no way. So I'm gonna have to go watch it. So don't quote me on this, anybody. But I know for sure she does say that there's something in your book that's not in the audio or vice versa, and that's impossible if you had to read it verbatim.
Exactly. So I don't know what she would be talking about. I have a second chance at making sure I proofread it this time. I have to get all the edits and all the proofreading done by November 11th. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. So I'm going through it with a fine-tooth comb. I did take out something that I felt that my co-author kind of went a little too graphic on, that never...
Co-author, y'all, not co-defendant, co-author, okay?
Co-author. Michelle Matrashani. There was a line, and I understand that the line was supposed to be impactful and give real depth and meaning to it, but I felt like it came off too graphic and too abrasive, and so I asked that be removed, and so that little line will be gone. I added a few things like the Barbie thing. So when people are like, yeah, you said that your mom didn't let you play with Barbies, but then show a picture of me holding a Barbie. Okay, well, there's more detail to that. So my mom didn't let me play with Barbies when I was, 4 and 5 and 6, but then let me start playing with Barbies when I was 10, 11, 12, because at 10, 11, 12, that's when girls typically start getting into makeup. They start getting into boys, the age progression of maturity continues. So that was just something for my mom to kind of in a sense, stunt my growth.
That literally
don't play with makeup. Don't be interested in boys, but here's a Barbie doll. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't, Gypsy, because you're a liar. You were allowed to play with Barbies at all ages, and there is proof. I wish you would just stop lying, because you just can't help yourself, though. But I wish you would stop lying. You want us to go away, stop lying. Because the longer you lie, or I can catch you in a lie, I'm going to keep calling you out on your lie. And so that's the way it's going to work. You stop lying, we'll go away. You continue to lie and be stupid on the internet, we're going to be here. That's pretty simple. And so basically, you've been called out. You lied in your book, and you were called out on those lies. And then she turned around and blamed her co-authors and Lifetime for the book. And so Gypsy released this book, or published this book, I should say, right around the time she was released from prison. It was shortly after she was released from prison that this book was published or released. And it's titled Released, Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. And it's the same authors, same publisher, everybody. Okay. Now this book was only it had 6 chapters. And it was an ebook. And so it was a, small book, and I didn't really hear a whole lot about it. I didn't really hear about this or know about this book until I started doing research on this video, to do this video for you guys. And so now we're going to be heading into her prison emails. While she was in prison, she started working not only on her books, but her show too. her show would be Prison Confessions. When she got called out on her lies in her book titled My Time to Stand, it was everyone's fault but hers. She blamed her co-authors and stated that because she was in prison, she couldn't put pen to paper and write it herself. Unfortunately for Gypsy, when she was making all these statements on Bree's panel and in messages to people, she didn't know her prison emails were soon to be released. It seems she was working on both books and negotiating or working on prison confessions in these emails. They are all intertwined, but you should see she very much had her hands in what was going on with the books and show. Now here's a clip of the introduction from Gypsy's book released. Now this is released on the screen right now. And this is the introduction to that book. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read this for you. It says, Mother, I am now 28 years old and in prison for my part in your murder. And although I could never justify my crime, nor could any letter or apology give back the life that was taken, I am writing this as if you were physically in front of me to express all that I have held in for the whole of my life. I am writing this letter having had nearly 5 years to feel the emotions felt when expressing the words written. Every day since your death, I have had nothing but time to reflect on the choices that have led me to where I am today. Moreover, of how your own actions form the circumstances around mine. The woman writing this letter to you is far different than the girl who was once broken and desperate to live what I would later come to understand as just an average life for a young woman. Living 23 years of my life with you as my only guardian, the only person who had the responsibility of shaping who I would grow up to become. Unfortunately, my upbringing was a far cry from that of which it should have been. Starting from my birth, going into my young adulthood, being isolated from having any other human interaction other than with you was lonely and has affected my ability to have appropriate social skills necessary to make healthy social interactions with others. The many unnecessary medical surgical procedures, and medications that were forced on me to treat illnesses that I did not have left my body marked with scars, both physical and emotional. Your choice to not have me educated growing up has made it difficult to gain the appropriate level of education needed for a woman of my age and has caused a depleted self-esteem in my ability to make achievements in society. When mentioning the overall lack of life experience that was withheld from me by your choice as my mother, you not only took away the normal experiences that shape an individual to be who they are or could be, but you made the choice to keep me from being the best things in life that make life worth living as a youth. The innocent joy of having a first day of school, the fun of going to the mall with friends and buying a dress that would surely never pass your approval, the excitement of being asked to prom, the comfort of your embrace when getting my heart broken for the first time, the nerves of awaiting that college acceptance letter. These are all things that I was not able to experience. It would be many years before I was able to fully understand the reasons why I grew up being isolated from others, being taken to the hospital after hospital. She wasn't. Doctor after doctor. It wasn't doctor after doctor. Without anything being medically wrong with me. Waiting for the next time your hand was to strike me for simply trying to make a friend. Fear, manipulation, and isolation were all I knew of your kind of love, and the lingering question of why I was unable to be allowed the one thing that everyone else seemed to have, the ability of free will. After all that has happened, I have been searching for answers and spending my time trying to learn about myself as a person, trying to make sense of why all these events unfolded with this amount of tragedy. I want you to know, excuse me, that I now understand that you were mentally and emotionally unstable when raising me, and that your actions were the result of a disorder called Munchausen by proxy that creates abuse inflicted on a child due to mental illness of a parent. When With now having the answers I sought to find, I'm able to finally let go of resentment I held against you and forgive you. And moreover, I want to let you know that I'm sorry, so sorry for having a part in your death. Murder was never the answer or solution. There's not a single day that you go unremembered, and I will carry this regret and remorse for the rest of my life. I will always love you for bringing me into this world and will remember you with love for the woman I know was a good person behind the mental disorder. Going forward, I will take my past and turn it from pain to perseverance, advocating for children who have suffered abuse at the hands of a parent, sharing my story with others to spread awareness of what Munchausen by proxy is and the ways people can recognize the warning signs in the hopes that I can educate and make the next child who wonders, why is my mommy doing this to me, that much braver to reach out for help. Excuse me. Telling a listening ear before he or she is behind bars for thinking murder is a way out. I can never undo the hurt that was caused by my actions, but I hope by doing this, I'm remembering you well and making a positive difference with your memory. I love you, Mom. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, 2018, Chillicothe Correctional Center, Missouri. And so I'm not going to read the rest of this. I will let it play out. And so that way you can come back at a later date and you can kind of pause it to read it if you so choose to. And so this next thing that I want to share with you, it's an email that Gypsy wrote for the introduction of that book. And I'm not going to read that, but I wanted to show you that, you know, when I came across this email, for those that read the prison emails, I actually thought that this was going to be for her parole board. I thought it was for her parole board, but it was for the book. And so it actually cuts off, but I mean, you can see for the most part, it's the same letter, but they did kind of polish it up for her. So if you want to come back and you can read that, you can kind of pause to read it yourself. But I'm not gonna read it. But I'm trying to give enough time so that way, you know, you can kind of come back and pause to read it. And so, you guys ready? We got a lot of emails to cover. And so we're getting ready to dive into those. And so these emails are early on. They're back from 2019. And the inbound is to Gypsy from the Love After Lockup people. It was the casting associate producer for Love After Lockup. They were reaching out because they wanted Gypsy and Ken to be on the show. This is back when Gypsy was just dating Ken and she was still in prison. I think they were already engaged. Let me see. When are these? Yeah, these emails are dated April 18th, which the top one is dated April 18th, and Gypsy's is dated May 7th. And so they were already engaged at this point. And so the top one, it says, "Hey, Gypsy, I hope all is well. I wanted to check in and see if you spoke with your fiance about calling blank. We haven't received a call, but would love to speak with him. Or if you could give blank a call on her cell, just in case you no longer have it. It's blank. Looking forward to hearing from you. Blank, casting associate producer, Love After Lockup." Hello, blank. Thank you for reaching out and considering us for Love After Lockup. I myself am a huge fan of the show and have watched both seasons. I discussed this with my fiance, and he and I agree that it is not the right time for us to do the show, but possibly later on down the line, if we are ready and willing, it can be reconsidered in the future. I think having a series that focuses on couples who have relationships while incarcerated gives society a chance to be a little more open-minded about this particular circumstances that these couples face and the hardships that both the convicted and the civilian go through, all because they love each other. Well, for some, it's love anyway. It is rather a cute story how I found my love while incarcerated. I myself met my fiance after he wrote me after he watched my HBO documentary, Mommy, Dead, and Dearest, that focused on my life and high-profile case in May of 2017. He wrote for about 2 months and had this amazing connection. Then we started talking on the phone and became best friends, though the both of us was starting to develop a romantic attraction to one another. And in August of 2017, I sent him a visitation form, and as soon as he received it, he filled it out and he booked a plane ticket to Missouri, 1,800 miles away from where he currently lives. We had our very first visit in September 2017, and 35 minutes into the visit, he just gives me the most romantic kiss out of nowhere. I kissed back, obviously. However, inmates are only allowed brief hug and closed mouth kiss according to my facility's rules. It wasn't long until a CO viewed us kissing, and because of that kiss, the visit was terminated and he received a 6-month, and it cuts off. And so this next email is Gypsy talking about doing an interview, and it's dated July 16th, 2020. And it says, I wanted to make sure you have the appropriate contacts here at the prison. Warden Blank McBee, and then FUM Wallace on 7 House, my current housing unit. The request for a phone interview must be set up with Mr. Wallace, and he can direct you as to when the call will be set up. I also would like a list of questions you might be asking on record during the podcast. Sometimes I get nervous and stutter, so I just want to be prepared. Again, thanks for this opportunity. Hugs. And so isn't that interesting? She wants a list of the questions she's going to be asked, so that way she's not caught off guard. And that just goes to prove that that's probably how every interview she's ever done has been handled. And they all treat her with kid gloves. She's never been asked the hard questions, and she won't go on an interview or any kind of show that's going to ask her the hard questions. Or if you don't share the questions with her first, she's not going to go on it. She's not going to be caught off guard. She has to know what is going to be asked of her. And I think that's a joke. And so this is production asking for permission to access Gypsy, dated May 25th, 2021. It says, hey, Gypsy, I'm going to have Category 6 Productions do the paperwork with Blank to do the phone or in-person interview media request. That will be used for the documentary. I'll also use the interview for the book. Just wanted you to know the name of the production company doing the reach out so you're familiar with their name. And so this next email is Gypsy talking about her idea of the book dated May 26, 2021. It says, so my idea for the book is basically what will be a 32 years of my life within its pages. I think the focus being the emotional and mental complexity of what I've been through and the struggle to find myself and have the freedom to have a life of my own. Give the readers a deeper look into what life was like for me. It seemed like each phase of growing up created a more intense hold my mother had on me until ultimately led to the murder. But I really don't want to linger too much on the murder itself. I bet you don't, Gypsy. I feel that part of the story has been repeatedly told. I don't think it's been told enough. I believe we can somehow fit the suspicion of my grandmother having MBP as well, and that cycle's repeating itself. This is why I would need the help of an author. There is so much information, and I'm not sure how to sculpt it to create this book. And so here I find it interesting that not only is she trying to accuse her mom of having Munchausen's by proxy, but now she's accusing her grandmother of having Munchausen's by proxy. And she's saying the cycle is going to repeat itself. So let's see. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Aurora is treated here in the years to come, and see, like, is she going to go to school like a normal child, and I'm not saying homeschoolers or not, but, Gypsy, Dee Dee, kept Gypsy at home. And so, I'm just curious to see if Gypsy's going to send Aurora to school or if she's going to keep her at home. And if we're going to see some similar patterns that Dee Dee had with Gypsy. We'll see. And so This email is Gypsy talking about Ken being in the book, dated June 16th, 2021. And so by this time, they're already broken up, I believe. It says, or they're having issues. I don't know if they're officially broken up yet, but they're actually having issues by this point. It says, moreover, on the topic of blank, I think it's important to mention that the fame caused his relapse to drugs, and consequently, the breakup led to mine as well. I was using drugs soon after the breakup, and he had been secretly using drugs a few months before and after the split. Neither one of us knew of each other's relapses. It was the pressure of the media that he had started using this word kills me. Opioids. And he grew distant and cold to me. He ended the 2-year relationship, claiming it was in the best interest of both of us that we separate. He claimed he needed to figure things out in his life, and he was afraid of being a negative role in my life. I was left heartbroken, and I went down a bad path of drug use and depression. I told Blank I was going to talk about him in my book, and she's talking about Ken here. I was talking about him in my book, and he's okay with that. I told him I wasn't going to trash talk him, that the facts would be laid out. And I think people will understand that he isn't a bad guy in the story and see that was yet again a tragic event for me. I want people to understand him to be someone who came into my life with the best of intentions and was support for me. And unfortunately, the negative and the media brought to my life had completely tainted the relationship. To this day, Blank and I still have a mutual love for each other, and I would never say anything untrue or unfair about him. And that's a lie, because she said a lot of terrible things about him in her prison emails after they broke up to her friends and family and stuff. She said a lot of bad things about Ken. And I've got the emails. I'm thinking about putting that video out as well. So even though we are living our lives apart, we still talk about spending time together when I'm finally home. As recent as last week, we spoke on the phone, and we agree the love is still there. However, we agreed to let our lives either come back together naturally when I'm home, or we will be happy for each other, even if we find other people to have a relationship with. I'll always love him, and I want him to be happy. And so this next email, it says, hopefully my emails are a good filler too for some of the topics. I feel I can cover more ground on JPay, but if you need voice work, then that's fine too. By the way, tell Blank I said she did a good job asking the questions. So this next email is Gypsy talking about Ken being in the book again, dated June 24th, 2021. And it says, I reached out to Ken to ask if he would be interested in speaking with you for the book, and he declined. He is still so guarded about the media, but I did tell him he would be mentioned in the book, and he's fine with it as long as his last name isn't revealed. I also reached out to a woman by the name of Blank, and that's the woman that was in the prison confessions, I believe. That was close to them in Missouri. She was working at the hospital and became friends with my mom when we arrived in Missouri after the hurricane. I was not sure if you wanted to get her perspectives, but I gave her the option to reach out to you. This is her number, and she gives the phone number. I did have also, this is Melissa Moore's press pass I meant to show you. And so here you can see it says Blanchard, Gypsy, and that's her prison number. It says all offenders under the age of 17 must have their attorney or designated guardian co-sign this form. I consent to being interviewed, photographed, audio taped, videotaped, and agree to participate freely in the interview research project conducted by the interviewer, researcher from the organization or agency named below. I further consent to the use of any information or material supplied by me as a result of my my participation. I have read this form or have had this form read to me and verified by my signature that I understand the contents. And so it says Melissa Moore, Category 6 Media, New York, New York. dated June 23rd, 21. And so this email is the book people contacted Gypsy back regarding the book dated July 1st, 2021. And it says, we ended up canceling the shoot due to family events and pending storms, so we're going to use your interview alone for the time being to present. Also, your book outline is being drafted as we speak. We will be updating that soon. And so if you guys give me a moment, I have to switch out all. And so this email right here is Gypsy responding back to the book people. And I don't have the date for it. I forgot to put it down. But it says, okay, I look forward to hearing how it goes. When should we have another call? I have some more weird details I want to share. Not so much maybe for inside the book, but I think you will find it very odd. Anyways, today I'm having a visit with a friend. He's coming up from Louisiana, and we're going to hang out for the day. And so that friend just happens to be Ryan. And so this email is Gypsy responding back to the book people regarding Greene County, dated July 4th, 2021. It says, blank let me know that blank and blank will be doing next. And I think they got one of the CEOs, ex-CEOs from Greene County Jail to agree to do an interview with them. First, the ex-CEO was always rude to me because I tried to get her off the pod I used to be housed in because of conflict of interest. I'm not saying I knew her before my arrest. I'm just saying she knew of me before my arrest. Unfortunately, yes, there are things that I did while in jail that I regret. I acted childish and immature, and you still do. A lot of it was I was very confused how to handle being away from my mother. Back then, I had sex with another girl and got her in trouble for it. It's a long story. I snitched on another girl for having weed. I wrote love letters to blank. I did a lot of shit I'm not proud of and would never do again. 6 years is a lot of time to grow up, and I'm not the same as I was back then. I kind of find it funny that, here she's saying 6 years is a lot of time to grow up. You spent 8.5 years in prison, and we're still being told, Gypsy, by your friends like Bree and Sheena, that you're still, trying to grow. You're still learning. You're still doing this. You're still doing that. And as far as I'm concerned, you spent 8.5 years in prison. You had 8.5 years to grow and learn and figure things out. Because, unless prison was a cakewalk, you should have learned and grown while you were in prison. And so this email coming up is the book people regarding the book proposal to Gypsy. And so it says, book proposal. The book proposal is finished and sent to blank for him to read to you and make notes and corrections. Then if you approve, we do go out to sale next week to get you a publisher. And so this next email is Gypsy to the book people regarding proposal July 27th, 2021. It says, I was wondering, how long do you think it would be until the book is announced to the public? I guess I'm trying to place a mental timeline together. And so this email is the book people to Gypsy regarding the proposal July 31st, 2021. We've actually got 2 emails here. And so it says, hey, Gypsy, happy belated birthday. I hope you had a wonderful time, and it will be even better when you're home. Right now, we're working on edits, and I'm working on your book proposal for it to be done to present it to the publisher. As visitor, no one from Category 6 would visit. It's no one that I'm connected to. And I don't know, that's weird, it looks like. And it says, wrapping up the book proposal now, but have some questions. I'll send in a snap. And so in this next email, it's Gypsy to the book people regarding questions she was asked, dated August 9th, 2021. It says, I just got the questions from blank. No, my father and I never took a paternity test as it was never needed or asked for. No one has investigated me for the fraud because it was clear in paperwork that it was always my mother who filled out the paperwork for everything. And technically, side note, that's not true because towards the end there, Gypsy was signing her own paperwork and stuff and her own medical records. So that's not true. And so this next email is Gypsy to the book people about a faded memory dated August 22nd, 2021. And I've actually talked about this before in a couple videos. It says, I remembered a faded memory from when I was very little, maybe 5. Mom had a friend named Mark. He liked her and he fixed a room at his place for her and I. I didn't like him, so I spit on him. I only wanted my dad and mom to get back together, and I was not happy with any guy that liked her otherwise. I sometimes feel like I deserve what happened because I guess if I wasn't happy for her being with another man and dad moved on with Christy, then she felt it was stopping her from having a life with anyone else, so her focus was on me. My mom did love another man besides my dad. His name was Blank. He is married now, but she loved him. And so this is my theory on why things happened the way they did. She didn't want Dee Dee with another man. And so something happened to put her in a wheelchair temporarily. And she kept herself there to make sure Dee Dee didn't have another man until it was time to the point where she didn't want Dee Dee's attention anymore. She wanted men's attention. And so she had to do something about that. And unfortunately, Dee Dee lost her life because she raised a spoiled brat, basically. But yeah, she didn't want her mom to have a relationship. And the funny thing about it is this was supposed to go in the book. This was to her book people, but this never made it into the book. And that's because it kind of humanized Dee Dee and made this little girl right here look like the monster that she is. Now, these next group of emails are this Gypsy talking about memories she had to the book and show people dated August 22nd and 24th, 2021. And it looks like it goes pretty much in order. So we're going to start from the top and go to the bottom. It says, I wanted to write down anything I can remember about anything. And I remember my mother disabled the doorbell on our Habitat house after the people from DFS came to the house. She said the sound was giving her anxiety. Number 2, I remember something else. When I had to give a urine sample at the doctor's. I'd pee in a cup, but my mother would take it and prick her finger and add a drop of blood to the sample. Why? I don't know. It's just another weird thing. 3. This is really good insight. Very helpful. Oh, this is the book, people, to Gypsy. It's very helpful. Please walk through normal fears she had and how she operated. Did she always answer the door? At home, did you ever run or walk around the house? Tell me about her shoplifting and what she would steal. Number 4, this is Gypsy to the book people. No, she rarely answered the door unless it was expected company. She would let the person knock and knock and knock, pretend not to even be there, even though the van was parked in the driveway. Sometimes she would drive the van to another spot to appear like we weren't home. Our house looked like a hoarder house all the time unless she knew company was coming over. Her fears ranged from lizards as a basic normal fear to abnormal fears like me being in my own room for too long. A few times she caught me on my computer while I was in my room, so after catching me talking to people on Facebook on the computer, she didn't trust me enough to spend any time in my own room. By 2015, I was limited to changing my clothes in my room, and that's it. She would time how long it would take to change clothes, and she would get up off her bed to check on what I was doing if I took a little too long in my room. She placed a reverse lock on my door, so if it had the lock on the outside of the door, and I would have to ask her to unlock it so I could get dressed in my room. Oh my. No, I didn't walk or run around the house if she was home, but when she wasn't home, I would walk and dance too. We had a CD player, and I would listen to music that was forbidden, like Katy Perry, and dance. She didn't let me listen to pop artists because she said that I was too little for the adult content in the lyrics. I was 22 years old. As for shoplifting, we would go to Sam's Club or Walmart, and she would put me in the basket cart, and she told me to slip things under my dress or sit on them. I did, and we would steal so much stuff, like DVDs, clothes, food, hygiene products. She sometimes would have me steal DVDs, and she would go resell them at a local video buy-sell trade shop. By the way, she never shoplifted alone. She needed me to be the one to use my wheelchair as a means to hide things. And so this is another group of emails. It looks like it's pretty much in order as well. So we're going to start from the top and work our way to the bottom. The first one's outbound. It says, I'm going to be writing you things I remember because lately my memories are clear as day. So they may be random emails, but I'm writing what I can give you as it comes. When my mother and I were living in Slidell Housing Complex in 2004, 2005, my mom had a neighbor. She would sell her prescription medicine for extra money. She started selling her weight loss pills, but then she started selling her pain pills and Xanax. This neighbor told other people in the complex, so she had more than one buyer. In 2015, my mother stole money from our neighbor, Debbie Akers. After Debbie trusted my mom to put money Debbie made after doing a experimental trial for one of the companies that pay you to do volunteer for a new drug or product. Debbie knew mom had a safe, so Debbie asked mom to put the $2,000 in the safe for her. Mom agreed, but stole a few hundred from the money. And when Debbie realized the money was missing, mom played it off like it must have been Debbie's disturbed older son. 2, inbound. These are exactly what I need. This is great that your memory is clear. 3, inbound. Do you want to start back up with our Tuesdays? I'd like to start the 7th after 9 a.m. by my time and continue as I have the kids' school routine starting back up. Update, Random House wants the full proposal. And I are working hard on it. Maybe you can help us. We need Mike, your former attorney, to send full discovery to me, as we need the text exchanges to use and the timeline, etc. The version your stepmom has is not a full report. We also need the videos that he used for court, etc. I'm going to start investigating your medication that your mom had you on. If you remember anything on the smells, colors, time she'd give give them to you, please let me know. Also, update, we meet with Hulu and Netflix and all the buyers after the 20th of this month. So number 4 is inbound. Hey, Gypsy, I'm free today to do our calls. 5, do you know when I should call you again? 6 is outbound, and 5 was outbound. 6 is outbound. I'm so sorry. I just received your email today. Emails are a week and a half behind. I had a friend text Blank asking for Blank's number so I can call Mike and give him permission to give you all the full discovery. I will try and give you a call today if this email doesn't go through today. 7 is inbound. Let's talk tomorrow, Wednesday. I've been writing all last week on your proposal, and tomorrow will be a great spot to take a break and do some recording. Looking forward to catching up. And so... All right, so we're going to get back started. Now, this email is from the Book People to Gypsy, it's September 23rd, 2021. It says, so I'm working still on a chapter that centers around a spell. So I have some questions. Tell me about your current Wiccan beliefs. When did it start? How do you practice your faith? How do you practice your faith in prison? Give me a definition to what a spell is. What is a curse? What gives curses and spells power? Would you cast a spell or a curse on someone? Have you? And I can't read what the bottom part says. And so this next message is going to be from the Book People to Gypsy, and Gypsy to the Book People dated September 28th and October 18th, 2021. The top is inbound. It's just checking in on you. Are you free Wednesday to keep talking? I've got meetings for 2 weeks for your documentary series. Gypsy responds, I had an attorney call and he will be sending me a release for my entire case file. I will sign it and y'all will be sent absolutely everything. And so, again, not only is she corresponding in emails, but she's also doing interviews, on the phone. She's talking to them on the phone, and she's actually having personal interviews with these people. And so this next email is Gypsy to the Book People dated October 2nd, 2021. It says, so my current beliefs are centered around nature, karma, and willpower. I came by paganism and Wicca by means of an old roommate and friend of mine. She introduced me to it, and I felt it was right for me. I wanted a nature-based religion that believes in karma, good energy, and bad energy. I feel your fate is in your hands rather than my previous Christian belief that all your life has been written by God already. I have the belief that if you don't like your fate, then change it because life is made of choices. Some would say I'm fated to turn out like my mother because of her life choices affected how I was raised. I say I make my own fate and change that because it is my hands and power to do so. That isn't to say I don't believe in God. I do believe there is a God. I just also believe in self-willpower to steer your life in the direction you want to go. I started learning about Wicca in late December 2020. I attend Wicca service on Mondays. How I practice my religious belief by allowing myself to let go of bad energy and allowing myself to give out positive energy toward others to introduce good karma to me. I often meditate and read tarot cards to guide my day and pull revelations about my life. No, I've never cursed anyone. I would never do that to someone. Yes, I have attempted a love spell. It was in 2013. I created a spell to bind Blank and I together as lovers so he would never leave me and attempt to cancel out my mother's curse on me. I asked Blank to send me a lock of his hair, and he did. I'm assuming that must be Nick. I took a strand of his hair and a short strand of mine when my mother cut my hair routinely, and I twisted the two together and enclosed it in a photo of me and a photo of him and wrapped it in red yarn. The willpower of this spell was broken when I wrote to Blank after he was sentenced, and he wrote wanting to get back together. I rejected him, and with closure, the spell ended, and he was free to have new relationships. Curses and spells are like wishes or a prayer for something to happen. It's called manifestation, and the karma you put in is how powerful it can be. And so this email is the book People Telling Gypsy they are going to FOIA her case information. This was kind of interesting. So this is an inbound email. Heads up, I put in a request for your FOIA records and you'll be getting a release form to sign. Blank is who made the request on my behalf, so you're familiar with her name, and it's for me to use for the book and documentary. Outbound, the last two are both Gypsy. Outbound, how about I call Blank on Tuesday and you on Wednesday, and that way we get as much done as we can. And the second email, or the third email, I should say. What are FOIA records? Anything y'all need, I'll release to y'all. I'm just curious. Kind of sounds like she's a little worried there. She doesn't know what the FOIA records are. And so she's a little worried there, it sounds like. And so here, this is the Gypsy to the book people on the people who she was in a relationship with, dated October 6, 2021. And so she says, these are a list of men who have been in my love interest since being in prison, all of who have been supported and met me through writing after seeing HBO doc. Everyone except for Blank was actually Facebook friends with Blank before development of a relationship with me. Blank, age 34, dated for 2 weeks, September 2nd, 2017 to September 15th, 2017. I dumped him for Ken. Ken Urker, age 24, dated for 2 years, September 15th, 2017 to October 2nd, 2019. He dumped her. It says Ken dumped me. And then Blank, age 41, dated for 1 year, November 18, 2019 to January 28, 2021. He dumped her because she was still in love with Ken. And so the bottom one is Ryan Anderson, age 35, untitled for 18 months and current. We are close. He's my best friend, and the feelings I have for him are comfortable love. I can be myself with him and know he loves me for me. I don't have to be fake. He sees my good He sees my good days and my bad days and is always there for support. I've cried to him about other guys who have rejected me or broke my heart. I've taken my anger out on him by pushing him away, but he has stayed a loyal companion through all the good and the bad I've shown him about myself. And he's still a loyal companion, Gypsy. A little loyal little monkey to you. And so this email is Gypsy to the book people about Ryan, dated October 28, 2021. It says, I sent 2 emails to both Dad and Blank. The one to my father was just saying that I love him, but I'm at a loss of what else to say. And then I sent one to Blank, telling her, oh, it is Christy. Christy, that I'm here for support, that I'm still her daughter too, blood or not. I'm trying to refrain from lashing out at my father for his infidelity. And I do not want my book to be a means for Blank to get back at him. I fear that if this were to go in the book or documentary, he will distance himself from me. It isn't my wish to embarrass him or Christy to the world. When he was caught cheating with the cookie lady the first time, I asked my father if I could put the affair with the cookie lady in my book. He and Christy really didn't want that, so I discarded the idea. I feel a lot of guilt for this happening because women have seen him on TV from the documentaries or interviews, and women my age find my father very attractive, so they find him on social media and start flirting, and he starts flirting back. The fame of my case caused his exposure to these women, and that is why I feel responsible. The worry of who will I live with if they live in different places plagues my mind. Blank was the first person I called to gain support after you and I talked. Of course, he made me the offer for me to live with him in Lake Charles, Louisiana, an offer I didn't refuse, but instead deflected the topic for right now. I don't know what the situation will look like when my release date finally arrives. If this separation is happening, my father could possibly move to Canada to live a life with the cookie lady like he mentioned to me a few years ago. Blank and I may or may not even be still dating when that day arrives. Who knows what life will look like when I'm let out of prison, but I know one thing is for sure, no matter what, these people who stand beside me today will be there regardless of who is together or not. They will be a presence in my life to see that I adjust back into society and freedom because of the love we have built together. Things just might not be that come home to my father and Christy under the same roof dream that I think we all imagine, and I can't read the rest. And so there was trouble in paradise, and this is what I mean by she used Ryan for parole, because Rod and Christy were having problems, and Gypsy wasn't sure, if she wanted to parole into that or not. And so this email is the book people to Gypsy, dated November 11th, 2021. It says, so sorry I missed you yesterday. Blank and I ended up getting the final book proposal for you done yesterday, and it's going to the publisher this week. I have a few edits to do. Yesterday, also, I was given notice I'm pre-approved to buy a home on my own. I'm making an offer on a beach house 2 blocks from the ocean. It has 2 houses on the lot, a main house and a guest house. If the buyer accepts my offer, I'd love for you to come stay whenever you want. In the meantime, we can take 2 weeks off from interviews while we try to get the book deal for us. I'd love for you to journal and do some writing assignments, and do only 1 a day. This will help me understand your internal self. Write out a story of you being released from prison and you need help from people to make it on the outside. Who are the helpers and why? What do they provide for you? Then do the opposite. Write out a story of you being released from prison and you don't need any helpers, only you. What do you do on your own? How are you surprised at what you're capable of feeling? What do you achieve? What dreams do you achieve alone? Number 2, what story was easier to write and why? 3, write out your beliefs about love. What does true love look like? Feel like? What does love provide? 4, Write your beliefs about security and safety. How do you achieve it? What triggers the opposite feeling of being scared? Goodness. What do you fear the most? What makes you feel safe most? 5. Write out a picture of the woman you want to be. What does she do? How does she operate in the world? How does she make herself something and loved? How does she dress? Do her hair? So this next email is Gypsy to the book people, dated November 17th and 18th, 2021. It says, I forgot to ask if there will be financial compensation for the documentary series. It says, I thought of another question. As we continue to move along with the filming for the doc, do you think it's important for me to incorporate the people I am closest to, such as blank and blank? Blank is my best friend, and blank is a big part of my daily life now, so I feel it's important to include them into the doc because of their level of interaction with me on a daily basis, and I will be mentioning them a lot when telling stories and referencing certain events while in prison. And so this email is Gypsy to the book people, dated April 12th, 2022. It says, hey, I just got your email from blank blank, book writer with blank. She will be in New Orleans on the 23rd, and she would like to meet up with y'all. And I was also thinking blank could meet up too. And so this next email is Gypsy and Rod talking about the show dated July 22nd. So it's Outbound. It's okay. I'm glad Blake changed his mind. Maybe my aunts will eventually do the same. Outbound. So they filmed Ryan meeting Mia for the first time. Mia grilled the fuck out of Ryan. He stood his ground with her. She said she likes him though. As I'm told, filming with him went great. I know he was hoping you would be there as well, but he had a nice time with Christy and Mia. It got intense for a minute with Mia because she went into having a negative opinion of this wedding, and Blank has reservations as well, so they had him cornered, and he just was honest and tackled it like a champ. And then Rod responds back, I'm glad you're okay with Blank participating. We had a good talk before he decided. Blank surely loves you. If he stood his ground, Blank can be a little frank at times. Mia can be a little frank at times, but at least you know where she stands. I'm glad they got to meet. I haven't talked to her yet, but I hope she likes him. Good luck with your wedding and interviews, baby. I'm trying to get permission from my company to allow them to film me on the boat. We're crazy busy, so it will be stressful here too. Love you. And then she responds back, Blank just got hired teaching 6th grade social studies. I'm so happy he found a job he likes and pays more than his previous job. And then inbound, Blank and Blank. I talked to both Blank and Blank, and they'll be participating in the filming for the project. I hope you're okay with that. I should have asked you first. I'm sorry. I love you. And so this email is from the book People to Gypsy, dated October 27, 2022. And it says, hey, Gypsy, I just sent an email to Blank telling her I think it's best to dissolve the writing partnership. Says it's been 17 months and it's very slow go. I have some full-time writers that I could hire to fast-pace this ASAP. There are a few that I know have the same vision as us. I wanted to keep you in the loop. Once I have a new writer, we'll need to do a new agreement with them. I adore Blank. She's an amazing writer in person, but she's a slow pace as she works another job. Won't be acceptable to a publisher. And so this email is the book People to Gypsy, dated October 28, 2022. It says, I haven't heard back from blank about what she wants as part of the disillusion. She hasn't responded to me to tell me she wants to be a part of research or anything. The issue is this. The agent said her pacing is not fast enough for a publisher's contract. Plus, when she submitted a new simple chapter, it wasn't that the writing coach asked of her. The writing coach gave her instructions and she was off the plan. I'll send you screenshots of the feedback so you can see. So I think at this point she's completely off the project. However, there might be a way to work her in, but at a reduced placement. I definitely respect her, but I need to ponder this and see if there's a way she can be helpful, as the new writer charges $125,000 for a book and $25,000 for a proposal. The new writer charges $125,000 for a book and $25,000 for a proposal. So this next email is the Book People to Gypsy, October 31st, 2022. It says, book progress. I got a hold of my book proposal writer, and she's now available to do yours. She's fast and good. Her name is Blake, and we are going to talk tomorrow, but it appears she's on board. I'd pay her $6,000 to get it done by Christmas, and we would have it to pitch January 2023. I'm writing to connect with Marilyn, my agent, about blank. I need to know what I should do to settle with her for her time. I'll let you know what she says. We will absolutely have a marketable proposal first thing next year, no matter what. I have all the materials from our time, and I can't see what it says. So this next email is the Book People to Gypsy, dated November 2nd, 2022. It says, I tried looking for the text option and couldn't see one, so that makes sense. When does your phone privileges come back? And this is inbound. Okay, so update on book. I hired blank, and he wrote my proposal that sold for 6 figures. I'm waiting for her contract now, but she is on it, and we'll get it done by mid-January. I'm going to pay her a fee of $6,000 to get this done ASAP. We don't have any more time to waste on this, so it's important that we get it out soon. It's been going smoothly with blank to dissolve her involvement. It's been respectful both ways. She wants an acknowledgement in the back of the book in the acknowledgement section. Totally understandable. What I'll do ask blank, and I progress on your book proposal is to send the drafts via mail to you to read as well. You'll be in the loop that way. God, I swear sometimes it's hard to read these. So this email is Gypsy talking about the book and the show, dated December 22nd, 2022. Hey, just checking in to say hi. Not too much going on here lately, and no particular Christmas plans for me, really. I just have been watching some holiday movies and taking each day as it comes. I'm like, OMG, it's the same day over and over. I'm living in Groundhog Day, LOL. I try to find new things to occupy my mind and time, though. Writing my book is going slow. Issues with my ghostwriter arose, and now we are back to square one. On the initial proposal needs to be rewritten. Hopefully she can produce something by deadline of March. It's all very complex. My new documentary for Lifetime Network is taking shape beautifully. The first 3 episodes are nearly done with editing, and the last 3 are being written out, and editing starts within 2 weeks. This new documentary should air late March. I'll let you know a definite date when I know one. I'm just ready to go home. Prison was easy to accept at first. I know nothing about normal life, but after years of talking to people in the free world, I know there is so much more that is beyond the gates and stone walls, and I long to be a part of it. 1 year away, after a lifetime of waiting to be free, I'm just 12 more months from my dreams. And so here she's talking about Prison Confessions. There were 6 episodes of Prison Confessions. They started filming in 2021, and they wrapped up filming probably about, I'm going to say, early 2023. And Prison Confessions actually aired after she was released, or about the time she was being released from prison. I believe that's when Prison Confessions aired, if I'm not mistaken. And so this email is Gypsy asking about show payment, dated January 18th, 2023. It says, hey, can you please see if I can be sent a picture of the payments from the show? How much have they sent so far? Dad probably will have to have Blank request the payments from the studio, so make sure he is doing so. Blank asked me to remind y'all to check the contract to see how payments are sent. Thanks. So this is another prison email. This is Gypsy to the book people making corrections, March 15th, 2023. It says, hi, Blank read the book proposal to me, and what I found is, without trying to be insulting, that the overall framework of, hold on, it's still covering it. Okay, so I can't read where my Carolina Girls Best in the World's at. Right underneath that, it says, but that the overall framework of Blank was bare boned. It reminded me of listening to Forrest Gump and made me cringe. It was your very basic wording. I can't see what's underneath there. It says, I think she says, I use more intellectual words. For example, instead of saying, people said my mom poisoned my step grandma, I would have said, it was speculated that my mother had poisoned my step grandmother, Blank, with Roundup. Blank also uses mom, and I actually rarely call my mother mom. I refer to her as mother because I now call Christy mom. Also, there were consistent repetitive words and words that should have used commas where the repetitive ands were placed. The story read very factual, however lacked emotion, texture, and immersion to a degree, intelligence. One thing everyone comments on, even when living with my mother, is how articulate I am with words, and that did not translate with the way this reads. Notes. Number 1, my mother did not work at the hospital after I was born. She took a job at a bar called PJ's when I was a toddler age, and later took odd jobs such as photo restoration on her computer. 2, it reads, more than once that I had no participation in Mommy Dead and Dearest, but I did participate in the HBO documentary Mommy Dead and Dearest. However, I did not have financial compensation. Lie. Lie. And it was not a docuseries. It was a single documentary. Number 3, in the beginning it read, my childhood was great, but then I got sick. Then the next paragraph reads, I had X amount of surgical procedures at 11 months old. That is contradictory to the beginning paragraph. From birth, my mother claimed I was sick. However, as a child, I at least was allowed to be more social with my mother's side and have some good memories as a child. I would not say great, though. Number 4, Blank and I did not mutually break up. He left me devastatedly brokenhearted. I want readers to feel the strength of the pain that I felt. After all I had gone through, I thought I had went through it to get to this person who would love me, and he let me down just like everyone else in my life. Blank jotted down other notes of errors in grammar and proper English, and pretty much the same notes. For a proposal, it's okay, but I do not want Blank to write the manuscript. I just can't see a whole book of this shit. It's all facts and no heart. Nothing tugged at me to make me feel anything but bored and depressed. So for Gypsy not having her hands in this book, not being able to put pen to paper, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she made some corrections here, wouldn't you say? And so with this email, this is back and forth regarding proposal dated March 15th and 16th, 2023. And the top one's outbound. It says, I emailed Blank with some thoughts. It might offend her, but it's my story and I'm not settling. Outbound again, let me know your thoughts. And if you need me to call you to discuss the proposal, okay. Inbound, proposal. I thought same thing. Agent read and thought same as us. Let's have a conversation tomorrow morning. Call me at 9 my time. Outbound, okay, will do. And so this email is back and forth dated April 10th, 2023. It says book stuff inbound. I forward to blank response that we are done now. She accepted that. So with that said, how did it go with blank? Do you want to move forward with her? If so, let's draft up a new agreement and let me know. I blank or blank would be POA to sign the book contract. I'm excited to get some movement and a book sale for you. And then Gypsy responds back, I love talking with blank, and yes, I do want to move forward with her. Blank will be my POA. Thanks, Gypsy Rose. And so this next email is Gypsy about the show. Top email is June 23rd, 2023, and bottom is July 7th, 2023. Outbound, it says, hey there, so much to tell you, so I'm still working on my book. At the same time, I'm in the works of negotiating my post-prison docuseries, which will be 10 episodes, all about my life after prison. And so that she's talking about life after lockup here. It says, my life after prison, while still waiting to know for sure, the 6-episode documentary that I've already filmed will air in August on Lifetime Network. The network is considering pushing back the air date closer to my release date. Then they will start filming the 10 episodes. So altogether, it's 16 episodes about my life. Holy crap, right? It will be a lot to adjust to, but I can handle it. Blank will also be in it, of course. We are talking about where to get my hair done in Kansas City while spending New Year's weekend in Missouri. Then after the holiday, drive to Louisiana. There's a lot of good places to get glamorous girl. I want highlights and a whole new me look. Blank and I also might go to the Chiefs and Bengals football game on December 31st. I've never been to a Chiefs game. I haven't been to a football game since I was 10 years old, so I think it would be fun to go to now as a grown woman. And then another one, outbound. My 4th was calm and actually kind of boring, but it's okay. It's my last one in here. So my new documentary has been pushed back. It probably in January. It was supposed to be airing next month, but the network decided to just air it when I'm out so I can do press for it. I'll let you know when, as soon as I know for sure. And so this next email is Gypsy to the Book People dated June 27th, 2023. It says, hey, so I spoke with blank and for like 2 hours today, and we pretty much talked enough to cover the rest of the chapter overviews. Blank is waiting to hear from Mr. Blank from the lawyer's office for an engagement letter. It's been a week. How long should we give it until blank should email the lawyer again? And so this is an email, Gypsy. It's from Gypsy to the Book People dated July 22nd, 2023. It says, I absolutely love the book proposal. There were just a few corrections, and I'll list said corrections below. Overview. Number 1, it was a BB gun without safety that I shot my mom with. Chapter summary. Chapter 3, Beholding and Bewitched. Can we change verbiage to argument rather than fight with my mom to avoid confusion with a physical altercation? Chapter 9, June 15th, 2023 needs to be changed to June 10th, 2015. If reference to the date of the murder itself and June 15th was the day of my arrest, but both happened in 2015. Didn't know if you meant to put 2023. Chapter 14, Life as it was intended. Instead of sex with blank, can it be changed to make love with my husband? As sex seems too emotionless when this is the first time my emotions will connect to sex. Afterward, change with her new husband in Missouri to with her new husband in Louisiana. So that's another correction to the book that she, even though she didn't have her hands in this book, she seemed to make these corrections. And so this email is Gypsy to the Book People dated July 22nd and 23rd of 2023. It says, one more thing, I forgot to put in the corrections. In the overview at the beginning, in my correct inmate number going to be added, which is, and she gave her inmate number. In the overview, it was written as something like inmate number, and then she gave something else. Other than those small corrections, is it beyond amazing? I'm so proud of y'all. And then this is the second email. I just wanted to say again how amazing this is. This level of feeling in this is so intense, real, and raw. It captures everything so vividly in a way that I am just in awe of how great the proposal is. I think we will get a fantastic deal. And so here she's telling these people that her book proposal is just great. It's just the best and blah, blah, blah. But yet, once it happened, once her book was published, oh my, she had all these errors. Everything was wrong with it. But here it's just hunky-dory. So this email is regarding lifetime and traveling, dated August 1st, 2023. It's outbound. It says the network is choosing to air the documentary January 7th. This is extremely inconvenient for me. I have parole obligations that my freedom depend on, and it's non-negotiable. They expect me to do a press between January 2nd and 5th. My first meeting with my parole officer will likely be within that week. There is little to no chance my parole officer will allow me to travel to New York the first week I'm on parole. That is just not likely. The network needs to understand and make adjustments for me and for in the case that I'm not allowed to travel. I'm going to need a letter from Blank, which is the head of this documentary and the network as well, and maybe the president of the network, to beg my PO to agree to let me travel that fast. In any case, permission to travel is required 30 days in advance of any travel date. Unfortunately, I'm at a huge disadvantage because I am not told when I am to meet with my parole officer until the day before my release. It is highly likely it will be after the holiday. The only thing I can do that maybe will help is I will go through a chain of command and ask my caseworker when my paperwork for my parole will be sent to Louisiana, and then Blank can call the Lake Charles office of probation and parole. And so this next email is Gypsy to the book people, dated August 3rd, 2023. It says, I want to thank you for everything you're doing for me in terms of business and my personal life. Me and Blank are very pleased with how amazing the book is developing. So here she's amazed how, the book is developing. And so this next email is Gypsy making corrections again to the book, dated August 3rd, 2023. It says, I love the proposal. The only things I had concerns with is chapter 10, June 15th, 2023. The date is still wrong. Should be June 10th, 2015. And the changes to the sample chapter in chapter 14, Life as it was intended. The line sex with Blank still needs to be changed to reflect the struggle to move past sexual trauma. Many survivors of sexual trauma have a hard time feeling comfortable with sex, and the truth is I'm no different. I have many insecurities and fears regarding sex. This girl is so funny. I mean, all she thinks about is sex. All she cares about is sex. She's kinky. She's got all kind of little fetishes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody that's got, fetishes and kinks and stuff. But I mean, this girl's lying here. That's the point of that. She's lying here because she does have these things, and it's in her prison emails as well. Within chapter 14, I didn't really cuss Blank out when he said the line, you're my heart and I can't live without my heart. I want the sentence reconstructed to when Ryan, when Ryan told me when trying to be romantic, said the line, you're my heart and I can't live without my heart. I became withdrawn and confused. Something like the above. Thank you. And so these emails are back and forth, dated September 6th through 8th, 2023. And so they're not in order, but we're going to start with number 1. It's inbound book deal. You got your book deal in 100K so far. You get that? everybody, $100K for her book. And that's for My Time to Stand. Says, I told Blank it's enough to buy your first home. You'll have a big enough down payment, so maybe live in the apartment when you're released and start house shopping for part of your reality show. Just an idea. Sorry to hear you're in quarantine. Number 2, it's Outbound. Book deal. I trust your lead on this one. I feel you have enough experience with this area to know if this is a great offer or not. Last night I was worried about me doing the audio because I always get put down because of my voice, but Blank put my fears to rest. Blank heard from his attorney that they will be finalizing the paperwork for his contract. Number 3, what are you going to counter offer? How much more are we going to request? Just wondering. 4, it's Inbound. Counter. I countered with 150K. So they countered back for 150K and upped the ebook to 50-50 split with them. Most people buy ebooks, and that's the fastest way to get royalties. They came back at 110 and 50-50 on the ebook. So she's going to get 110,000, and it's going to be half and half on the ebook. Sent offer to Blank to read to you. So far, this is the only publisher offer. Most publishers have passed as they are fearful of Son of Sam laws or optics, which is their loss. And I can't read the bottom of that. And so this email is Gypsy talking to Rod about Ryan and the show, dated not, and it's not sure, but took a guess on where to place it because I didn't write the date down to this email. But it says, hi, Dad. How are things? I turned in my address for my home plan to the institutional parole officer yesterday, and it will be submitted to Louisiana on the 30th for approval. The IPO is calling Blank today at 4 to discuss things. I found out that I cannot have contact with the Petries unless I have permission from my PO. After I'm parole, it won't matter. Blank and I are waiting for the network to make a good enough deal for this contract. They wanted to offer him $2,500 per episode, which is laughable in comparison to mine. His lawyer is going to reach for $10,000 per episode. My book proposal has been submitted to publishers for review and hope to hear offers soon. Blank started work up again, and they changed up a few things like classroom location, and there will be 9 new kids, 3 4th graders, 3 7th graders, and 3 8th graders. They gave him a round of applause because his class had the best grades last year. And so this next email is Outbound, and I don't know if it's back to Rod or not. It says Blank finally has a deal with the network for $5,000 per episode with back pay for the 2 episodes he already filmed. So $60K total for his participation in the show. 5% goes to his lawyer like mine did, and I don't know what tax will be. I had a call with Blank and a publisher. It went great. Very nice people. The publisher will have us an offer next week for the book. The facility submitted my home address yesterday, and it will take 45 days to approve. And in that time, the parole officer will visit Blank at our apartment to establish an idea of home environment. We have created a like page for followers on Facebook. Type Gypsy Rose Blanchard into pages and like me. We are expanding public platforms for promotion for the book and the docuseries. These are not for private use, as whatever is posted is with permission of the network and publisher. All handles are at Gypsy _ R _ Blanchard. And so this next email is back and forth with Book People dated September 13th, 2023. And it says, hey, Gypsy, I would need to email you Hey, Gypsy, I will need you to email me consent on writing checks to be in Blank's name for your book. Be very specific so that everyone feels safe to do that, please. Maybe give a time frame of how long they are written in his name until your release, etc. That you're requesting we do this, that you are making responsibility for this choice, or that that you're taking responsibility for this choice, that we are responsible if he misuses or spends the money. Words like hold us not accountable for funds upon release to blank. And so then it says she's outbound. I, Gypsy Rose Blanchard Anderson, would prefer and give my consent for my husband, Ryan Scott Anderson, to receive any payment on my behalf under his name to be deposited into his established bank account until February 1st, 2024. Agency nor any of the other parties shall be held accountable for any misuse of these funds after release to Ryan Anderson. Thank you, Gypsy Rose Blanchard Anderson. And so this next email is Gypsy to Rod about the book deal dated September 14th, 2023. It says, hey, Dad, good news. We have signed to a publisher. Bella Bella Publishing House is our publisher. Blank and blank are working toward having it ready by February. And this next email is the book People to Gypsy dated September 29th, 2023. It says, book announcement. I'm told once the contract is signed that they will do a big press announcement. The publisher is going to do a photo shoot with you too when you get out of prison. Also, I've texted Blank to tell you about Good Morning America. They might be flying to you versus you going to New York City due to filming a parole officer meeting. With all press, you can plug your book too. I'm leaving to Miami and heading a long vacation to the Bahamas for the week. I believe the contract will be ready when I arrive back next weekend for your book. In this next email, it was for Love After Lockup, People and Gypsy, top dated October 10th, and the bottom is October 9th. And so the bottom one we're starting with first, it says, hi, Gypsy. Not sure if you remember us. We spoke years ago for casting for Love After Lockup. Congrats on your upcoming release. We are still interested in helping to tell your story, especially how life is for you after prison. If you're interested, please give me a call. Really look forward to chatting with you. And she responds back. She says, hi, thank you again for your consideration. I'm locked into a contract with A&E and Lifetime Network for a 16-episode docuseries airing next year. I'm under agreement not to participate in any other series at this time. I do still enjoy watching your Love After Lockup series, and thank y'all again for your consideration, Gypsy Rose. Again, back in 2019, they reached out to her wanting her and Ken to be on the show, and she refused that time as well. These next emails are about the book and show dated October 11th, 2023. Starting with number 1, it's Outbound. It says, so how is news of our series being received so far? And when do you think our book announcement will be? Blank bought a scanner to scan pictures, drawings, etc. And Blank and I went over the outline and came up with some great stuff. 2, Outbound, update, ebook. Blank and I are looking through tons of pictures never seen before, and also a lot of great material for the ebook. We also selected some of my artwork paintings that I created. We are taking the weekend to get all of this to you and Blank as fast as we can. 3 is Inbound. Next steps on show. Wanted to let you know I've spoken with the network and they're looking at new potential showrunners for you. They want to make sure the showrunner is solid on follow-up doc style. Blank is still in the mix. There are 2 other ladies that I will meet. I'm looking for someone with a laid-back conventional style to work with you, as I want you to feel at ease when doing interviews. The network approached me to consider someone new, not me approaching them. Number 4, Okay, that sounds good with me. I'm very easygoing with just wanting us all to feel at ease and comfortable. Number 5, it's inbound. Have you heard anything about me coming to do a prison media interview? Hoping to come and film with you next month. 6, outbound. I would prefer someone different, someone more your style. 7, outbound. Not yet. I assume that I will be talked to by the caseworker sometime soon. I'm sure they are flooded by media requests right now. 8, permission to film. 9, I want therapy to be a topic. I received a lot of group therapy in prison, but not one-on-one therapy. I want to walk people through what I've done while in here to work on my mental health. Maybe we can talk about the next time we film. I have all my certificates at home of my completed group therapy classes. 10, outbound. Hey, TMZ sent me an email and directed them to you for any comment. 11, finally have a set date for PO meeting. My first meeting with my parole officer is on January 3rd at 2:30 p.m. Blank is talking with you and Blank to schedule GMA around that and hopefully get me in New York City to do it all in person. 12, outbound. Hope you have a beautiful holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. And that was the end of that set of emails. And so here's another set of emails regarding the show, October 13th through October 20th, 2023. Starting at the top, it looks like they're pretty much in order. It says permission to film. Looks like category 6 is permission to film now. I sent screenshot of her email to Blank. I'd like to start ramping up soon, recording with you and going to prison to film with you. Prefer I go this month to do a catch-up interview with me doing the interviewing. Number 2, inbound. Now that we are getting close to filming, what topics do you want to cover? Also, my friend in prison, I should film before you get out. It's a farewell to this former life, so I want to make sure we capture this for you and viewers, as you'll never see them potentially again. Number 3, outbound. Waiting for the caseworker to ask me about category 6 request. Any word on showrunner yet? 4, outbound. Blank. I looked at every picture that Blank and Dad brought over to our apartment in those huge bins, and we found few older family photos, but what we did find, we scanned and will send either tonight or tomorrow. Unfortunately, a baby photo of my mother when she was maybe a few months old was not in the mix. I've seen it, but I can't locate it. I may try to reach out to my aunts for their help with my much older family photos. I hope this helps with our ebook. I looked over the outline Blank created and loved it. 5, inbound, next filming. I had a call with a production company and found out what their hopes are of filming when you're on the outside will look like. All filming will happen in a 2 to 3 month window of January to February, March. That being said, what would you do to cover your first month out? 6, outbound. Wow, that doesn't give us much room. Can you push for 5 months? 7, hey, I talked with Blank and we feel like with the time frame we have to film, our focus can be centered around the family dynamics. So meaning Blank family, me spending time with my family, etc. If they can wrap up at the beginning of April, Blank has spring break March 29th through April 7th, and we can go on vacation out of state. Just a thought, we will keep things pretty close to home for January, February, and can film in New Orleans and cut off as much as we need to. Again, I'm sorry if my reaction was abrupt. I was not at all directing it towards you. I was directing towards the network because I feel like they don't have faith that people will be interested in my life. I'm mentally preparing to film and do things in a layout with story arcs. Then it gets thrown up in the air. So I had a small pity party for myself, then readjusted and moved on positively. Today was stressful, but like you said, after this small window of filming, I can get my cosmetic work done between gigs. And so this next set of emails is regarding the show. Wait, I hope that's the one. Okay, that's the one I've already read. Thank heavens. So this is Gypsy to the Book People, top dated October 30th, and the bottom is November 3rd, 2023. So outbound, it says, hey, blank read me blank CC email and will read me chapters 4 and 5 for review. I love the title Released, and I released as her ebook. This will be epic. Blank will scan more photos tonight. Again, the second email outbound, it's November 3rd. Happy Friday. I hope you have a good weekend. Keep me posted on what the contract allows for us to do in terms of the ebook. Talk on Monday. So this next email is Gypsy talking about doing an interview with her ebook dated the top one is December 6th, 2023, and the bottom is December 8th, 2023. It says, guess what? On January 5th, I'll be a guest on The View. Then the bottom email, it says, oh my God, I announced my ebook at around 6 p.m. yesterday, and by 6 a.m. today, these are my numbers on that post via social media. This is looking beautiful. Instagram, 3,427 likes, 93 comments. TikTok, 790,000 views, 1,363 comments, and it looks like maybe 70,000 likes. I can't tell. I can't see the bottom. In this email, it's Gypsy regarding the ebook and show dated December 7th, 2023. It says, hey, blank, I hope your trip is lovely. Wanted to keep you in the loop about a few things. So I am trying to make sure I can plug both the series and our ebook in my interviews. I spoke with Kara, who told me about all the press ops we have for the series. And so I told blank these can be a great ops for our ebook as well. And can we capitalize on the media attention? So Blake let Heather, who was part of marketing for ebook, know about all these interviews, and they obviously want the exposure. However, I don't believe Kara is aware I have an ebook to promote. Have you spoken with the network or press team about piggybacking on press? I just want everyone to be on the same page. Also, production is still very uneasy about our whole issue with our apartment. And this is the final email. This is Gypsy regarding her ebook dated December 8, 2023. It says, our ebook was announced at around 6 p.m. Okay, I already read this. So this was just a repeat. So that's great. So again, Gypsy claimed that she had issues with her book because she didn't have her hands in it and she didn't get to put pen on paper. She blamed not only her co-authors, but Lifetime too. I knew this would probably be a little long, but I always come with receipts. Did I provide enough proof that she was very much involved in not only negotiating her book, but her show as well while she was in prison? Not only were they communicating by email, but she had a lot of personal and phone interviews too. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Let me know what you all think. Did I provide enough evidence to show she was involved with negotiating her show and editing and negotiating her book? I always look forward to your comments, and as always, I really appreciate y'all's support. If you like the content here, please be sure to like and share this video. If you're new to my channel and like the content, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's a free way to support my channel. I greatly appreciate every one of you. I hope you all continue to have a great weekend, and I will be back soon with another video. Always working behind the scenes. I hope you have a great week ahead. Much love to you all, and I am out of here.
The things that I account is my memory and my memory alone. Now, whether my memory is the truth, I don't know, because I have been told conflicting things.
You make me say,